Hello, today we are going to check out a little presentation created that talks about the differences of the classes on the Titanic. I also shared with you on Epic several different stories that you can start to explore about the different classes on the Titanic. So let's take a look. Titanic passengers were divided into 3 separate classes, determined not only by the price of their ticket but by their wealth. First class passengers were the wealthiest on board and were mostly businessmen or politicians. Second class were often professors or authors, while third class or steerage was made up of primarily immigrants. All 3 classes were treated very differently when on board during the trip and after the sinking. The survival rate among classes also varied. Classes had very different experiences aboard the Titanic regarding their cabins, ticket prices, and food. First class cabins were very fancy, equipped with telephones, heaters, wardrobe rooms, private baths, and of course, bells for summoning the steward. Second class cabins had beds built into the walls and had a very home-like and comfy feeling. Third class slept in crowded bunk beds. They also had shared bathrooms. There were only 2 bathtubs for all 210 third class passengers. A first class ticket cost $3,500 in today's money. Second class tickets cost $375, and third class cost $350. First class ate in an enormous room that could fit 500 people. They were served fancy foods such as smoked salmon and filet mignon. Second class rooms fit about 394 diners and were served foods such as egg and soup. Third class dining rooms could fit 473 passengers and were served foods such as potatoes and vegetable stew. The menu for third class was very limited. Here are some examples of what a first and third class cabin would have looked like. Very different. The survival rate for different classes varied greatly due to several factors. 97% of first class women survived, while only 45% of the third class women survived. 33 of the first class men survived, while only 16% of third class men survived. 86% of first class children survived, while only 36% of third class children survived. Although in general, twice as many first class passengers survived than third class, it is interesting to note that gender was the primary determining factor. For example, more third class women survived than first class men. So you can see the little chart there that shows the difference in survival rate for the first class, second class, and third class. But really, it was women and children first on the lifeboats, which is why so many men did not survive. Following the sinking of the Titanic, class distinction continued. The ship sent to rescue survivors was called the Carpathia. Even on the Carpathia, classes were separated. The ship sent out by the White Star Line to search for bodies 2 days after the sinking only brought back first-class passengers, while the rest were given an on-the-spot burial at sea or were placed on ice and returned to shore. Upon the return of survivors, the press was more interested in first-class survivor stories than any other class. As you can see, classes were treated differently during and after the Titanic. Maybe if all classes were treated the same, more people would have survived this tragedy. So that's just a quick overview on the different classes to give you an idea about some of the differences between the Titanic classes. Now, if you haven't already, I want you to go into your Epic, and there are several different books that I assigned to you that talk about the differences in classes. And I want you to start thinking, if you could choose a character, because we're going to be starting a journal project, what class might you be in? And you can choose from any class. So check out those books on Epic, and we will talk about them on